Hi guys, it is Wednesday, June 12th, and I'm headed home, and I was just kind of thinking to myself about some mind games that our body plays, and I want to talk to you about a couple of mind games that I've caught myself in the last couple of days. Some of them are, first of all, none of them go together, right? It's just these crazy little tiny mind shifts that, mind myths, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Like, they're just these little things I tell myself. Sometimes they're excuses. Sometimes they're, I think they're answers. It's just these crazy little mind games that I play with myself. So the first one is simple, right? The first mind game is, it's that time of month, so I'm going to eat everything, and I have an excuse. That's my reason. I'm allowed, right? Because I'm a girl. Well, no, I'm not. And I've never been that girl who has really bad symptoms, if you will, until this month and last month. And they've been so bad that they wake me up in the middle of the night. So it's like I give myself this permission, well, you didn't sleep well last night, you don't feel good, you're cramping, you're a girl and poor you, and go ahead and eat all the things. And because of that, I eat all the things, right? And then I feel guilty the following week when I say, oh, I'll get back on the following week. Whatever. So that's mind game number one. Mind game number two for me is, when I was younger, even as young as 2 or 3 years ago, I cared a lot about fashion. Like, I cared a lot about what I wore and what my hair looked like and what kind of purse I carried and, what kind of shoes I wore. Two things have happened that have changed that. Well, three things. One, I've gotten older, and the fashion just they don't make fashion for my age. They make it for the young girls, Number two is, we've become homesteaders. We've got a small plot of land that we are, that I garden on, that we are trying to get, the pool ready on, and, we're doing fruit trees and cutting, and I'm using a chainsaw on the weekends. And, I always have said I want to be, live on the side of a mountain tending chickens and goats in Prada boots, but, the Prada boots don't matter so much anymore, I guess. That's two. Three, my job. My job has changed, where I used to be a teacher, where I stand up in front of a group of kids, and I wasn't doing a lot as far as to get dirty or, to touch anybody or anything like that. So I could wear dresses, I could wear cute pants and cute tops and things like that. Now I'm a behavior intervention specialist, and a lot of times I am on the floor negotiating with kids, or I have a kid in a hold, or I have to transport a child, where I'm hanging on to them, and and you have to wear tennis shoes because sometimes you have to run. And so, I just don't care that much about fashion anymore. And, the last one is, I just look in the mirror and I think, you're getting older, and, I get these little tufts of hair now that stick up that didn't used to stick up when I was younger, and my hair is unruly, and the makeup doesn't go on quite the way it used to. And, so I keep, and so all of that, what it does to my, my weight loss journey is, it makes me go, why are you trying to lose all this weight? Because one of my whys was always that, I liked clothes, and I liked fashion, and I liked to look pretty, and I liked to look cute. And I used to get my nails done, and I used to get my toes done, and I used to get my hair done. And now, because I can't wear nails to work, so I barely even paint them, no one ever sees my toes anymore because I have to wear tennis shoes to work. I've let that go. I'm 10 pounds heavier than I was at my lowest on Weight Watchers. And, so certain clothes don't fit quite as well. And I'm like, well, see, you're a fat slob again. You might as well wear those sloppy clothes. So for example, today I was buying a bathing suit bottom, and my finger automatically gravitated to the size I was before I started Weight Watchers. And I was like, wait, I'm not that size anymore. And then my head, that little trick in my head went, yeah, but you're not as small as you were. Look what you've done. Look how you've messed this up. You might as well buy that big size again. But there's a big difference between, so right now I'm like a 10, 12. And when I started this journey, I was like a 16, 18. And in my head, I went, well, you're not a 10 right now. You're probably a 12, so you might as well buy a 16. So I got to tell you guys, I bought a 15, which is a junior size and might not fit because they're cut different, but I decided to buy them, and if it doesn't work, I'll return them. It is what it is. So those are some mind games right there. Then I have these weird ones, these really weird ones like this. See this container? It's from my lunch. It's a 3-part container, right? And I can't have one of those containers be empty. Right? Why? Why not? So today I had a piece of chicken in there with a Smart Bun in the one big container, right? I had coleslaw in the other container, which I put on top of my sandwich. And then I had some mixed fruit. Sounds like a great little lunch, right? The coleslaw's like 1 point because of the dressing that I use. And, it's just nice and easy peasy, right? So here I am at home making my lunch, and I'm thinking, yeah, but the coleslaw, there's going to be a little more of that than just what goes on my sandwich, which means now you need crackers, right? When I could have easily not taken the crackers and just eaten it, and then I'm like, but is fruit really a dessert? And maybe I need a dessert. Because I used to put a dessert in one of these little containers, and maybe now I need a dessert. Even when I pack Norm's lunch, and Norm gets those containers as well with the three compartments. He gets 2 wraps, and usually he gets some type of cracker, some type of crunch, right? And I was like, well, what else do you want in it? Do you want fruit? Do you want cookies? He's like, just leave it blank. I'm like, I cannot. I simply cannot. And again, that's me, my own self-sabotage of, no, I have to fill that container because then I'll be deprived, right? If I don't have something in that container, I'll be deprived. And again, that's a mind trick. It's just a mind trick. Do I have 2 compartment containers? Nope. Do I have 1? Yep. But then what am I going to do? Take a whole bunch of little ones? Who knows? It's just these silly little things that you have to realize that your brain is doing. I've talked about this one before, and I really thought I had it under wraps for a while, and now it's creeping back up like this, right? I can feel it. I can feel it tingling in the back of my neck. So as a kid, I had this weird food. I was never food insecure, but I had 2 weird things that happened to me as a kid. Number 1, I had a sister who was supposed to babysit me, and she was 10 years older than me, and her job was to babysit me in the summertime. And what she would do is, I don't recall if I had breakfast, although I probably did. When my dad would leave for work, or when I would wake up in the morning and my dad was already at work, my sister would put me outside in the backyard. Rain, shine, didn't matter. And as a small child, I could play in the backyard. I was totally fine. Lots to do back there. But I was not allowed to come back in the house until I saw my dad, which was sometimes around 3 o'clock. Other times it wouldn't be till like 5 o'clock when it was dinner time. So I skipped lunch pretty much every day in the summer. Not a big deal. But I didn't come in to go to the bathroom. There was no snacks. There was no popsicles. There was no cool little lunch, whatever. Not even like crackers. Nothing. So it never dawned, as I got older, it never dawned on me to tell my parents that she did this to me. As I was going out the back door, she was having friends come in the front door, which is why I couldn't be in the house. So as I got older and I was able to kind of walk the neighborhood, we had a very safe neighborhood, and I had a couple of friends, and only because there wasn't a whole lot of kids in the neighborhood, because there was only like 20 houses in the whole neighborhood and only 3 of them had kids. So as I got older and I was able to walk the neighborhood, I would spend time, especially in the summer when it was hot or raining, in my friend's house. Well, they had this cabinet, and the cabinet was their snack cabinet. And there were 4 of them, 4 kids, and the snack cabinet got filled once a week. So let's say, I don't even remember, but let's say they filled it on Sunday, right? They had all week for that cabinet to have snacks in it. Now, this consisted of their snacks during the day, of their snacks for like nighttime, right? And also their mom and dad to take to work for their snacks. So it was always jam-packed in the beginning of the week, and by the end of the week, it was completely gone. And I remember sitting in their house, and they were not allowed to share, right? So, if my friend got out a pack of Doritos, for example, and started eating them, she could give me some of what she had, but I couldn't have like my own. So if she had a popsicle, for example, she could break a piece and give it to me, but I couldn't have like my own popsicle, because they weren't allowed to share. Their parents were under the firm belief, your parents have money, they can buy your snacks. That's just how it was. And I remember sitting there sometimes and watching her eat snacks, and she didn't know any better. It wasn't her fault. And I didn't have any. Because if I went home, I wasn't even allowed in the house, right? So, and my snacks in my house were never Doritos and ice cream and things like that. We had one snack at the end of the night that was like an ice cream or cookies or something like that. But my snacks, like any other time, like during the weekend when my parents were home, was fruit. In my house, you were never allowed to have the last of anything. You couldn't have the last soda. You couldn't have the last pickle. You couldn't have the last a cupcake, whatever it is, because it was my dad's. It was for him. And, I don't want, that sounds bad. Like, I don't want to say it was because my dad worked and my mom worked, and my mom didn't eat much. She was always on a diet. And, but like if my dad went to make tuna fish and he wanted a pickle, there better be a pickle. If my dad wanted a soda, there better be. And like, he never got angry. It wasn't his rule. It was my mom's rule for my dad. Like, that was her way of taking care of him. Now, what I'll say is this, that one pickle never like sat in the container, right? So if there was a pickle in there and my mom noticed it, the next week she'd buy another jar of pickles, and then, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like we had to sit there and stare at this one pickle for 6 weeks because my dad didn't want it. It wasn't like that. You just didn't take the last thing. So I remember one day sitting on my back porch with the friend who was never allowed to share her snacks. And my mom had given me a popsicle. I don't even remember, I don't know, some type of popsicle, right? And my mom had also given her a popsicle. And I remember thinking how jealous I was when I was at her house and she was eating these whatevers and I didn't get any. So I forced myself to eat it really, really slow, and she ate hers fast, so that when hers was gone, I still had some, right? And she kind of had to look and see like, oh, I'm jealous now. Whether she actually felt that way or not, I have no idea. But in my head, it became this running dialogue of, you always need to be the person with the last bite. Because if you're not, you're going to be jealous of the person who does have the last bite. And that bled into other things, like if I went to, for example, a buffet. And I remember this happening once. We went to a buffet, and on the buffet were little mini creme brulees, and I love creme brulee, right? And we were in Vegas, so in Vegas you take 3 and they're going to replace it with 4 on the buffet, right? So I remember standing there, and I was getting my dinner, whatever I was having for actual meal, right? And I look over, and there was 6 of the mini creme brulees sitting there, right? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take them all, because if I come back and there isn't one, I'm going to be really mad, right? So again, it's that little mind trick of I'm going to feel deprivation. I'm going to feel deprived if I don't have what I want, right? The last mind trick that I have done my whole weight loss journey, I guess, I never needed to lose weight until I had my first child. And then it never got better after that. I did that thing, and I'm sure we all do this or have done this in the past, where, I was going to start on Monday, because diets can only start on Monday, right? So I was going to start on Monday, but I had all this junk in the house. So on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I would say, you know what, just clean it out, but you can't throw it away, right? Because that's wasteful, so eat it. So eat an entire pan of brownies, eat an entire bag of potato chips, eat an entire box of popsicles, because you need them to be gone by Monday, so Monday you can start fresh. So the last 2, the feeling of deprivation, where I have to be the last person to eat, crept in the other day. Norm got an ice cream bar, very little, whatever he eats, right? And I had a Built Bar. And I set the Built Bar on the nightstand, and I was waiting for him to start eating his ice cream bar. And he was playing a game of chess or something, right? And I remember sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, because I was not going to start mine until he started his. Because I did not want to be all the way done mine and then watch him eat his, because that would have just driven me nuts. And I remember thinking, you overcame this. You stopped doing this. Why are you doing this again? And I picked up the Built Bar, and I ate it really, really slowly. And he still hadn't picked his up yet. And then when he did pick it up, he ate it, and I couldn't look at him. I literally had to turn my head and couldn't watch him eat, because I just would get mad. It's no different than when I'm in a restaurant, and let's say he orders an appetizer, a salad, and a meal, and I only order an appetizer and a salad as my meal. I'm like, wait, there's going to be a third thing in there that I don't have, and I'm going to pick at his, because I can't not be eating when someone else is eating, So those things, those last 2, have really started to creep back into my head. So mind games are I think mind games are 90% of my problem. It's looking in the mirror and being angry at myself. It's the aging, it's the hormones, it's I have been at a plateau for a year, guys. I have literally been at a plateau for a year. Over a year. This is ridiculous at this point. I have been at a plateau now for over a year. And I see no end in sight. So I remember, and I've told you guys this before with other scenarios in my life, like trying to get certain jobs and things like that. Carly, one time, she didn't pass her driver's test the first 2 times, right? The third time she came in and she was crying, and I said, oh my God, you failed? And she said, no, I passed. And I said, well, why are you crying? And she said, because I didn't know what it felt like to succeed, so I just assumed I was going to fail. And I'm at the point now where I feel like that's where I am in this journey. I don't know what it feels like to break this plateau, so I just assume I'm never going to break it. And if I'm assuming I'm never going to break it, why keep trying? I mean, I've been wishy-washy all week. Should I just go back to freestyle and maintain? At least I'm maintaining. At least I'm not gaining. Well, I mean, I'm up higher than I was at my very lowest, but I've been maintaining at this weight for over a year. So I got down to 165. Freestyle hit, I went up to 175. And now I've been maintaining in that range of 175 to 177 for over a year. So And I used to tell myself, if you were 175, you'd be happy. So I don't know. These mind games are really what's bothering me. So all this time, I've been thinking to myself, you're doing this wrong. You're eating too much. You're not counting correctly. You're not working out. You're not, all these things that when you watch, the videos of the 10 reasons you're not losing weight on freestyle, the 5 reasons the Weight Watchers doesn't work for you. And I remember thinking, am I doing these? Am I really not tracking correctly? And do I miss a point here and there? Absolutely. Are there things I don't count even though I'm supposed to? Of course. But I was doing all of that before and I was losing weight. But my mind was so laser focused when I started Weight Watchers. I was going to make this work because I was spending the money to do it, right? And it got to the point where even the money was no longer the motivator because it was just coming out of the bank. And no one was saying, I was using it, right? I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, so no one was complaining. Norm wasn't saying, why am I paying for Weight Watchers when you're not even using it? You're clearly not losing weight. He doesn't say anything like that. He sees me on my tracker. He sees me using it. He sees me maintaining. So he doesn't say anything. So it's just gotten to the point where I've done a gut check the last month or so, and I really am tracking. I really am being honest with my tracking as much as I can, as close as I can be. I'm moving around. I am making good choices. I'm staying under my, I'm staying within my points and not really using my weeklies very often. I'm not using them as often as I used to. I'm really in this game physically, and I'm doing all of the things I'm supposed to be doing. My question now is, am I sabotaging myself with these mind games? And the very last mind game I want to talk about is one that Anita opened my eyes to. So I am a product placement person's dream. If you product place in front of me, by the end of the movie, the video, whatever, I will want what you have, right? As far as if you tell me it's for Weight Watchers. So if you stand on this platform and you say smart cakes are the best thing that's happened since sliced bread, you must have smart buns, you must have smart cakes, you must have Built bars, you absolutely have to have hint water, I don't know, whatever it is that you're telling me I should have, by the end of the video, I need it or my Weight Watchers is not going to work, right? So I went and I spent a good amount of money on smart cakes and smart buns. I can honestly say I bought the what they called the sampler pack. It was a lot of money. It was like $170 or $120. I don't remember. But it was all the buns and a little bit of all the cakes, right? Now, I can honestly tell you, I am not a fan of the chocolate cake. The lemon is probably my favorite, and then the raspberry. I'm sorry. The cinnamon is my favorite, then the raspberry, then the lemon and the raspberry. But the cinnamon I love as like a replacement when I really want like a muffin, like a coffee muffin. The cinnamon works. The other two are very desserty, but I'm not a big cake fan as it is. And they're so moist that they kind of fall apart on you. The smart buns, I gotta tell ya, I'm not a fan. They're very dry and they don't taste like bread. They don't taste like anything, in my opinion. So I have spent all this money on those, but gosh darn it, I'm going to eat them because I spent the money on them. And don't get me wrong, they're good in a pinch. Like if I'm looking to have a burger and my husband is having a big, juicy, gross burger and I don't have a low point burger, I'm going to go ahead and have the burger. I'm going to use a smart bun because It works. I will eat all of the Smart Cakes as well. Now, the Built Bars are life, right? The Built Bars, I must have a box of them, and I order them about every 2 weeks. Why I don't just order a big old box and save the money, I don't know. But I order the Built Bars, and I must have them. But the thing is, I have spent the money on them. So I'm like, oh, today I'm going to have, for snack at work, I'm going to have some Smart Cakes. For snack at home, I'm going to have a Built Bar. Like, why do I have to have all of these fancy schmancy things? And why do I have to have them more than once a day? I should say to myself, you're going to have a Smart Cake or you're going to have a Built Bar. The problem is, I really just want the Built Bar. And I want to keep the snack cakes in the freezer. I don't know. These mind games are tripping me out, guys. So tell me what your mind tells you. What is the craziest thing your mind does to sabotage you? Don't get me wrong. I also have the typical one where I'm assuming that I'm still a fat girl. And when I see myself in the mirror, some days I'm like, oh, I'm thinner than I thought I was. And then the opposite happens too, where I look at an outfit and I think, oh, that'll look cute on me. And then I'm like, except for the fact that you're still a fat girl. So what does your mind do to you? What are the things that your brain tells you that are probably lies? And if they're not lies, they still mess your weight loss plan up. Drop them down below and let's talk about it. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Oh, if you thought I had some solutions for these mind games, I don't. I was just telling you that I have them too. So let's figure them out together.